All right. As usual, we start the episode with technology issues.
Same as it ever was, I
Yes,
think.
yes. Some things never change, but we made it. We're a few minutes late, but we're here. That's all that counts, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. I don't really have anything like any non-movie general chatter. I'm just like a boring person this week. But it feels like we haven't talked again for a while, right? Because we had that weird
Yeah.
scheduling thing but I don't have anything interesting that's happened since we
Hmm.
last talked.
I've got something.
Okay, what is it?
Um, I mean, we're both into Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
So it's that time in my life again where I've started up a Minecraft server,
Oh no.
and the friend group is all into it.
Nice. How
So I've
many
been
mods
doing
do you
that.
have? That's the
We're
real
focusing.
measure.
There's like 80 or 90 mods in there.
No way.
But it's a Pokemon specific mod pack.
Okay, yeah.
So it kind of builds that into it. That's how we kind of got everyone involved and on board, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was messing around with that and I deployed it on Fargate, right?
Did you
Just
really?
because I did, yeah. Because I set up a bot, right? Like to slash start, slash stop,
Yeah.
then like a monitor
Yeah.
lambda to go and pick it up and see if anyone's online and then turn it down if it's not.
Yeah.
And I was like, this will be fine because no one will play for more than 2 hours or they won't play for more than a week and it'll be fine. It won't,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll end up saving money on the server hosting.
Yeah.
And then like $70 of usage later,
You need a savings plan for that, an EC2 instant
I
savings plan.
I changed it to spot.
Did
People
you?
were playing for like 11 hours of the day.
It's just running all the time. I had to do the same
Yeah,
thing. So
constantly on.
I have a Minecraft server. It hasn't been used recently because, well, you know this. I've been addicted to Battlefield. Um,
Oh yeah.
Even though I suck at it, I just keep going back to
Wow.
get my ass handed to me. But I don't know what it is. It's actually I do know what it is, and I said this to somebody the other day. It's just a mindless game. I maybe said
Yeah.
that to you before too. Like I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to worry about. I guess you have to worry about your build a little bit, like the loadout and stuff. But really,
Eh,
in the end,
not
I'm not
really,
going to
right?
overthink it. So it's just quick and easy. And then everybody else in Discord's just, if I have to hear about
Just
Arc
chatting.
Raiders one more time, I'll lose my fucking mind. Right. So the Minecraft server is just sitting there neglected. But the
Mm,
last time we fired it up, we put, if my nephew was here, he would laugh at me because I should know the name of this. It's some sort of mod that you can run it client side. Um,
okay.
but if you run it server side, what it does is it renders chunks for you. So like if you and I are on
Oh,
the same
yeah.
server, I would be able to look off in the distance and see
Yeah.
what you have already seen. Um, so it's kind of keeping it all on the server. That thing, oh, I can't remember what the hell it was called. Like
That's
I
gotta
was,
eat memory though.
oh, I think I was running like a C7GX large or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it capping it?
Oh yeah, at points, yeah, it got kind of
Oh
a
my
little
god.
hairy. And that thing, I did the same thing as you. I have a Discord bot to turn it on, and basically, I didn't do anything too fancy. I can't remember if it's CPU or memory. There was a pretty good
Mm,
indication of when somebody was on the server, right? So it was either
yeah.
one of those metrics. If it dropped below like 10%, I knew nobody was there. And after like 10 minutes, you just turned it off because you said you got a $70 bill. I'm not shitting you. I think the first month I didn't really even think of it, right? I just fired it up. I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
just let it run, whatever. And that way when I want to play, I can play. I think it was like $200 or something. Right.
That's an expensive Minecraft
Oh
server.
yeah. 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 And it was just that one mod. I have to look it up. I know we're totally off. Let's just turn this into a gaming chat.
That's
Hold on.
perfect. Yeah.
What is this? Mod red. Actually, let me see if my nephew's in Discord. Hold on. He'll know right away. That'll be
He might
quicker
know.
than me Googling it.
We have something similar where it'll let your client see where you've seen before, like pre-rendered chunks.
Yeah.
Um, and you can go beyond the render distance, right?
Oh yeah, that's
But
what this does. Distant
yeah,
horizons. That
I
I'll
think
just
that's the one.
Yeah.
We had that.
Yeah. So you can run it
Yeah.
client side, but if you run it on the server, then like
Mm.
even if I just want to hang out at the base and you're like the explorer and you're going around, on my
Yeah.
side, I can render like insane distance out, even though I've never been there before. But if you only run it on the client side, again, my nephew would probably tell me I'm saying this wrong, but
Mhm.
if you run it client side, you only see where you've been, but on the server, you get to see where everybody's been. And it was just destroying the server. And then
Chewing.
there was some other mod he put on there he wanted. So I put it on there. It was like a World Gen 1 Tectonic. And,
Okay. Yep.
oh yeah. And it was beautiful to look at, but oh my God, that server, just a beast, right? Like,
Heavy hitter for sure.
yeah, I blew through my AWS partner credits just running a Minecraft server.
Oh no.
Because that's where you're supposed to use those credits for, I'm sure.
Important R&D. Okay.
Yes,
You
it is.
you
Yeah.
gotta check and see. Yeah.
I learned how to configure a bot in Discord to invoke a Lambda function. So there you go.
That's
Sweet.
true.
It's R&D. R&D. All right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so enough Minecraft chatter. Although now you're making me think maybe this weekend I have to do a little bit of a refresh and maybe go back and look at that server and upgrade some mods and stuff. And see if I can convince some people to stop playing Arc Raiders for like 5 minutes.
Or 2 minutes. Yeah. I have noticed the exact same thing. Everyone's playing Arc Raiders.
Arc
I don't know.
Raiders. Arc Raiders.
Yeah.
I don't mean I'm maybe a little salty, but like I've actually like hopefully nobody on the Discord channel is actually listening. They probably aren't, right? I've actually muted some channels because I'm like, I don't want to hear about this shit. Like it's not for me. And it's like the only conversation that's happening is pictures of somebody's cat and friggin' Arc Raiders. So yeah. All right. So let's I'm going to drop a couple quick AWS news updates on you. I know I hadn't put them in the Discord as we were sort of sharing articles through the week. I actually didn't realize that I hadn't shared. I'm off my game right now. I normally, I've said this to you before, and I've said this, I think, on the podcast. I have such an exciting life. I usually end my workday looking at AWS news, and I've got out of the habit of doing it for whatever reason. Maybe Battlefield. I can't say for sure.
Who could say?
Yeah, it could be any number of reasons. So I've kind of fallen out of the habit, and I went to get my cheat sheet ready for tonight, and I was like, oh, damn, I don't have any AWS news in here. So I'm running fresh RSS in my home lab because, again, I don't have anything better to do with my time. So I quickly pulled up, and there was like a list that long of all the stuff. So I wrote 4 things down very quickly. So let's bang through these and give me your thoughts. So we've talked about the Frontier agents a couple times, right? Since they were released in reInvent in, I guess it was just last year, right? 2025. And there was an article today about some new features for the security agent, which I don't really think we've talked about a whole lot versus what is the other one called? The DevOps agent, right?
The DevOps agent, yep.
Yeah, so this is actually an interesting feature. What it allows you to do is set up penetration testing across VPCs across multiple accounts. So you can have a centralized agent, like maybe in your security account or something like that, right? And then what it does is it uses all the VPCs have to be in accounts within your organization, which makes a lot of sense, right? Otherwise, shenanigans will ensue, right? So it's all got to be in your organization, and then you have to use RAM to share the VPCs with your centralized account.
Got it.
So that centralized account can see now all of the VPCs, and then you can have it do penetration testing on those VPCs. Pretty cool. Right?
That's handy.
Yeah. I know I keep saying this. I sound like a broken record. I keep wanting to muck around with these Frontier agents. And then, again, who knows how I'm wasting all my time. But
we may never know. Yeah.
Yeah, we may never know. It's not on Frontier agents. So I've added this to my to-do list, which I will then very quickly ignore and do something else. But interesting nonetheless.
Very interesting, and it doesn't surprise me because it seems like a pretty easy use case to develop for. Like you can build out essentially playbooks, right, to go and test various vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And this is something I've even done with my own personal agent project, right? Like I've
Okay.
got it configured to pull down like the Juicebox vulnerable instance, or there's a couple of others out there. Like Hack the Box has some VMs you can download to go and penetrate, or try to penetrate, or or find vulnerabilities in. But it's pretty straightforward to just go and build a scaffold for an agent to, here's the run book essentially.
Yeah.
Go and run this against these targets, and then summarize the results and what did you find, right? So just for a picture of how this is going to go in the future, it's going to get a lot easier to do this kind of thing if you're an attacker.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
good idea to familiarize yourself with kind of the tools that they're going to use to do this and how you can detect it in your environments.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point. The other thing I just made a note to myself here is, obviously, if you're doing this yourself now, if you're using
Yeah.
something like the security agent, I'm sure
Mm.
you're okay. But there is the end user license agreement, which actually is it the end? There's a penetration user agreement or something
Yeah,
like that, right? And I know the list has changed, but like anytime I'm talking to a customer, they're like, we're going to do a penetration test. I'm like, you should just double
you need
check
to.
this first. Make sure you're not doing anything that if Amazon sees it, you're in violation of your user license, your end user license agreement. And, you know, oops.
They do have a
So
requirement for notification. Yeah, that would be.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah,
good time
yeah.
if you
Yeah.
violate
Now,
that.
if you're using the security agent, one thing, but if you're installing your own tools or having some third party do it,
Mm.
still important, right? To make sure you're playing within the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you should only pen test targets that you own, right? So that's
Yeah.
hence all the security, all the setup around making sure you're targeting BPCs in your org and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old days of war dialing where you won't get in trouble are long gone.
Yeah.
Be careful out there. The next thing that I put on my list, which I actually very quickly checked in my account because I think this is really cool. There's a new dashboard in the AWS WAF for AI activity. So you
Mm.
can see
Okay.
very quickly AI bots, agent traffic going through your WAF. So I have, and this actually goes to what you said, right? If you're going to, you know, it's important to know how these tools work. So in my little website, I've got CloudFront in front of it, and then I've just wired up a WAF to be able to, you know, figure out how it works. It's all CloudFormation. You and I worked on that, right? So all CloudFormation stuff.
Yep.
So just as I'm updating templates and working on stuff, I have a spot that I can use. So I very quickly went in there, and I got to say it's pretty cool. There's lots of really interesting info on that. And what I found really interesting, I was reading an article somewhere, and I don't think this is sort of a groundbreaking thought, but you've probably heard this too. Like Gen AI has killed SEO in the sense
yeah.
that, like, you know, it's probably more important that your website, you don't want to forget about just traditional, I'll just say Google search, right? But increasingly, it's important to have your content available to AI tools so that if somebody asks a question, it gets a reference and hopefully they click on it to find out more and they end up on your website, right?
Right.
It's amazing to see. It's got this neat little widget, and I don't know the name of these types of graphs. You know where like they
Mhm.
say on the left-hand side you'll see a big bar and then the bar gets split into chunks and they kind of go left to
Like
right. And it's like, I don't know what they
yes.
call it. You know what I'm talking about though, right?
But like a breakdown of the traffic flow of the total, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you got your total
That's like
traffic and then it starts
Yeah.
slicing it into bits and it goes, it's a pretty cool little visual way to see this data. It goes left to right. I would say I should have written this down, but I would say the majority of my traffic on the website now is ChatGPT users.
Yes.
And not even
and
close.
Really? So how?
Yeah.
What's the percentage? Is it like over 90% ChatGPT traffic, or?
Oh, no, it's not that bad, but it would be, or maybe not, I shouldn't use the term bad, right? But it was, I think
Yeah.
it was either 50 or 60% of the traffic on my website's ChatGPT users.
Crazy.
It
It's a
used to
Sankey
be-
diagram is the paper chart.
Is that what it's called? A Sankey diagram? Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. you come here to learn about AWS news and stuff, and you learn names of charts and video games.
That's right.
Perfect. It's my kind of conversation. So, yeah, it was like 50 or 60%. And then
Crazy.
SEO, the other part were like SEO bots. And then you had search engine bots, right? So,
Yep.
yes, I was a little shocked. It was pretty neat way to visualize it. And the other cool thing was, as I was poking around on the dashboard, if you decided you wanted to block some of that traffic, I would write a rule for it. But if you're just kind of, click ops in it, there's a button right in there. You just say block this traffic.
Block all bots or block all search engines.
Or like a certain type of bot. Even it listed all the bots and then had like blocks beside them and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And it's just like, that's why, I mean, that explains why Cloudflare implemented that markdown thing, right? Like there's going to be so much traffic coming from these things.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the internet traffic was bots before, and I'm sure, I mean, it's just going to get even bigger, right? So,
yeah, I think I have in the WAF, I pay $10 a month for this just so that I know how it works. Is oh shit, what's it called? Like there's my brain keeps wanting to call it a rule set, but it's not a rule set. There's like a feed,
like a manage.
Yeah, like a managed feature for monitoring bot activity. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh,
you know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's $10 a month, and it's amazing. Like, again, I wouldn't be able to quote a number off the top of my head, but I would say 3/4, I'd be confident saying 3/4 or maybe even more of all the traffic that hits my website is not a person.
Yeah. AWS WAF bot control. That's what it is.
That's Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just like all of this, your website is now indexed into the data, probably the training set, right? Like it's going to get crawled.
Yeah.
And like, if you're in the training set, then you're more likely to be surfaced as a potential link in these tools, probably. And who knows how they're reinforcing Gemini on Google searches, right? But
yeah, no idea. So you know what? If you have a WAF, the dashboard is available, the AI activity dashboard. If I read the announcement correctly, it's free of charge. So like, I didn't have to do anything. I just logged in my account and saw the link, even though I hate the new WAF dashboard. And I wish I could revert to the old one, but they won't let me do that anymore. So I feel a little out of place in there, but I found it and I clicked on it and it was pretty cool. Showed some interesting information. So nice. I might, tomorrow I might jump onto a couple customer environments with their WAFs and see if the dashboard is there. Because it didn't say anything about like, you know how sometimes they'll roll it out across regions and stuff like that? Yeah. I didn't notice anything like that. So I wonder if it's just kind of one of those things where they just plunk if the WAF's available in the region, you have the dashboard. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if it's general availability or not yet.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. All right. So the next two AWS pieces of news, I learned a new phrase, a new feature. Have you heard of Kiro Power?
No. Is that like a skills equivalent or something?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
So there are two new things available as Kiro Power or Powers. I had to look it up because I was like, what is this, right? Talk about things moving so fast, you have no clue anymore. Like, what the hell's happening?
Naming in the space.
Yeah. Kiro Power. When I tell my buddy about this, he's going to be like, oh, there you go again. Like, what the hell is that? He won't, like, he's a GCP guy, right? So he just likes to make fun of names. So a Kiro Power is essentially a package. And the package is made up of one or more MCP servers, steering files, right? Which would be like the equivalent
like your agents.mv.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like persistent knowledge. You want to tell it every time to do this. So you put that in your steering file in Kiro, and then hooks, Kiro hooks, which, to be honest, no clue what the hell those are. Okay. But basically you're able to bundle those together and then offer them. And it's very much like, you know, when you like a
Like a
VS
Visual
Code
Studio.
extension. That thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, extension or something like that, or whatever they called them in PyCharm. It feels just like that. So there's two new
Okay.
ones that they announced: AWS Observability, which is a whole bunch of MCPs bundled
Okay.
together. You get the CloudWatch MCP, the application signals MCP, CloudTrail MCP, and the documentation MCP, all bundled together. And
Interesting.
then from there, I didn't look into that one enough to know if there's steering files or anything like that involved. But to me, it seems like a wrapper around having to configure your MCPs and some basic steering files. Those come from the creator of that power, right? Whether it's AWS, whether
Right.
it's a vendor, or whether you can even do community powers, which I'm going to make a comment on in a second. But so that was pretty neat. And the other one that came out was the AWS IAM policy autopilot, which has been around since reInvent, but now they've repackaged it as a Kiro Power. I did look at this.
Okay.
You can see it in GitHub. And to me, all it looked like was an MCP JSON file. I didn't see steering files. I didn't see hooks or anything. So my immediate reaction is, why wouldn't I just use it as an MCP then? So I can't
Fair enough.
quite figure out like why. Maybe it's just an easy use thing. Like, why would I use a Kiro Power
standardization
versus just an MCP? Because AWS, you and I have talked about this, right? AWS has a massive list of MCPs available now. Why wouldn't I just configure those, right? I don't know.
This is, I guess, just a more easily installable version of that for your IDE.
Yeah,
is what it seems like to me.
We're gonna talk about an article that you shared later on, and one of the things that got me in that article was like, at some point in the probably not so distant future, you're going to be using AI without even knowing that you're using AI. And this kind of feels like that, in the sense that I don't know what an MCP server is, and I don't care. I just want this functionality, make it work, right? So why do it? I think the other thing that kind of got me about this, though, is I would prefer a standard thing. Like, to me, it seems like, and maybe this is just me being cranky, but it seems like, let's go off and build something that sort of follows a standard, but isn't really. It's very specific to our tool, so that if you go down that rabbit hole enough, you're not going to switch off of it.
Right.
Right.
It's like, what's the problem this is trying to solve? And to me, it's like, how do we get people in Kiro using what is presumably the state of the art for context management in these projects, which is, I mean, we're discovering new things every day about whether that's the right way to go or not.
Yeah.
But this is an easy way to get everyone on board with the same kind of, to help people who maybe don't want to learn about this and help themselves.
Yeah.
And improve the experience in the app, right?
Yeah.
That's my take.
And if I wouldn't use the term lock-in, but you and I have talked about this before. Like, if you get used to an IDE, if you get that IDE just perfectly configured, like, the likelihood of you changing to something else is less likely because of the friction to make those changes, right? Like,
just switching costs, right? Like, you'll lose productivity in the middle of your changes, right?
Yeah.
So you can
start
take the
from
time
scratch.
to do that.
That's not saying that's what they're doing, but that was my kind of thought behind it, was like, okay, I like the idea of this, but you know what? As I started to say that, I'm like, wait, I do the same thing, because I'm so into the Docker MCP toolkit now.
Yep.
Like, I can just wire that into any tool
whatever
that I
you
want
want,
to use. So I've essentially done the same thing with that. So I guess I should shut up. They're all going to try to do it, right?
They're all going to try. They're all going to try and implement these features in like a way that's going to, they think will help you out best if you're the average user, right? I mean, they got things like,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, they have things like API testing with Postman, design code with Figma. So kind of big ticket integrations with huge platform apps like that, right? Like big There's Supabase in here, Terraform in here. So it's pretty much the extensions ecosystem for Kiro is going to
for
be
Kiro. Yeah. Only supported in the IDE, not supported in the CLI.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And the other note that I made as I was reading these was we've talked a lot about supply chain attacks, right? And we're going to talk about another one today. I would be reluctant to install. I know we're talking about Kiro, so this isn't about Kiro, but I would be very reluctant to install anything that I didn't feel comfortable that it came from a verifiable source. Like,
trusted source is important.
Yeah. Community power. No way. I'm not installing that. Like, it could be the best thing ever. I'll build it myself. I'm not, it reminds me of, and I know these still exist, community AMIs. Like, are you shitting me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trust it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Some person made this on the internet and said, "I'll make this public," right? And see how many people install it.
Well, we're dealing with this with NPM like this past whole year, right?
Yeah. We've got a story about it today. Right? So pretty cool. Do I want to? I made another note. I want to see where I want to talk about. I'm gonna save this note until we talk about NPM.
Okay.
So that's the 4 that I gathered up quickly. AWS news, all sort of Gen AI related. I thought they were pretty cool. I might poke around with a couple Kiro Powers, like AWS provided ones, just to see like what it does and how it works. Interesting.
Yeah. And it's not like it's that hard to replicate these things, right? They're just markdown files in the end. So
yeah, you could use it as the basis for your own configuration if you really wanted. Yeah. Text. The beauty of text. All right. So let's change gears, talk about some Gen AI stuff. So the first article I have on my list, Gemini 3.1 Pro, a smarter model for your most complex tasks. A well-written headline. And you have converted me. I have benchmark thoughts.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot.
I'm interested to hear that.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
So I looked at the SWE bench, right? The software engineers bench, I guess it is. And I made myself a single note on par with Opus 4.6. So, as far as if you correct me if I'm wrong, but sort of Opus 4.6 is kind of the leader right now, I think, kind of for a week at least.
State of the art.
Yeah. Until somebody leapfrogs it. So that was the thing that I wrote down about this. I don't know what thoughts you have about it.
My thought, Gemini 3.1 benches really well. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
The benchmarks
there was a lot
really
of highlighted benchmarks through that little table they had, right? Where they were leading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
77% on Arc AGI 2 is crazy. That's a really high score.
Explain that one for us, the Arc AGI 2. What's that benchmark about?
So Arc AGI is a benchmark designed to focus on visual reasoning tasks. So you'll get essentially grid problems with translations, flips, mirroring, rotations, that kind of thing. So you have to, from a few shots, like a few examples, 3 examples per problem, identify what the rule is for each problem, and then solve the puzzle, which is was really hard for these systems to do, right? But Gemini is at 77% completion on it, which is insane, especially on Arc AGI 2, if you pull it up, because it is like Gemini 3 Pro got 31% on it. Sonnet 4.6. Yeah, like it's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
And like GPT 5.2 was getting 53, Opus was getting about 69, like 4.6. Yeah. So yeah, it's either an indication of really good, of really high intelligence comparatively, or, maybe a little more maxing for the benchmarks, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
Which is kind of where I'm leaning on this one. But
yeah, I guess the only way you'd know for sure is you'd have to use it and see how it works.
Yeah.
For your particular use cases, whatever you're working on, right?
Yeah. Like what I've noticed is it is really good at the visual tasks as usual for the Gemini models. But when you're using it in the CLI, it's kind of like they didn't bother to train it for that use case. So it kind of it has a lot of behavioral issues, like it'll go off on tangents or won't. A lot of like steering problems I'm noticing. Like I didn't train it to follow your task very well.
Yeah.
But it has really good the knowledge baked into this thing is really powerful. Like it's really intelligent.
Yeah.
Comparatively. So
Well, it's like who's that person talks about AI all the time? Gen AI, Ethan Mollick, I guess I think is his name.
oh yeah.
He wrote a really good book. It's worth a read. It's out of date now, but it's still worth a read. And I'm pretty sure it was in his book or blog post or something where he said, just remember the AI tools you're using today are the worst tools you'll ever use. So I keep thinking that, like, it's just amazing to see how these things just feels like, I know I'm exaggerating, but almost on a weekly basis, they just keep leapfrogging, there we go, each other, and just sort of just incremental improvements, right? They continue to get better and better.
Yeah, the competition in this space is crazy. Some of it is like, I mean, you can see there's some interesting, maybe some people are exaggerating the capabilities of the models when they, in their claims, but like the competition is insane. And especially with, I mean, the speed is just crazy of development. Like it's moving, it's week by week at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
So I do have one more. You mentioned Gemini CLI, so I'll give you an update on my story. You know this already.
Oh yeah.
So last week I was using Gemini CLI to do market research, something that I had done in Claude forever. And sort of like the same thing we were just talking. I was just, I don't know, popped into my head. I was like, I wonder, because I think it was after you sent me this article, I was like, oh, I haven't used Gemini for this. Why don't I fire up the CLI and use the same prompts I'm using to do market research with Claude and just bake them off against each other, see what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not using any tools. I didn't connect it to OpenClaw or anything like that. I was literally sitting at my computer and terminal window open, and I'm writing prompts, or I'm cutting and pasting prompts. I've got a little prompt cheat sheet that I've created for sort of my market research, and I can just use those. So I was doing that, and I probably did it over 2.5, 3 days, kind of on and off, just left the terminal open, really think anything of it, do it all the time with Claude, right? It's just sitting there, and I kind of go back to it. I used to have browser tab sprawl. Now I have terminal sprawl. Like, it's to the point now where I have to label my terminals. When I open up a new terminal, I give it a title, because otherwise there's like 14 of them, and I just sit there and click through each one trying to find where, like, it's brutal, right? So anyways, long story short, I do this for 2.5 days, 3 days, whatever. And it's Friday afternoon. I probably decide to play some Battlefield or something like that. Who knows? And I wander away, right? And I come back Monday morning, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to finish that. So I find the correct of 14 terminal windows, and I type something, and it gives me an error. I'm like, well, what the hell's this error? That's weird. So I do what most people do. I don't really read the error. I just Control-C it a couple times, and I try it again, right? And it gives me the same error. And so this time I look at it, and I've been, banned isn't the right word, but my access to the tool has been disabled for failure to comply to the terms of service. And I'm like,
okay,
what do you mean? Like, it's not like I was doing anything weird. Like, I can't be the only person that's using these tools for market research, right? Like,
surely not.
Come on, right? And so it's like, click here to read our terms of service. If you click that, you get a 404 on GitHub. It doesn't exist.
Cool.
So the irony is, I went to Claude and asked it to find me the terms of service for Gemini instead of going to Google, right? And it's like, it's right here. And it showed it to me. And I'm like, okay. So I read it. And the only thing I can think of is that as I was doing market research, I was asking it to identify companies like me, right? Solo entrepreneurs. So I had people's names. Now, I'm not using those names for anything, right? It's just doing web searches and saying, hey, these people are kind of doing the same type of things you're doing, blah, 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 yada, 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 whatever. That's the only thing I could see in there that was even remotely close. So at the bottom of the error message, there's you can send an email here. I'm like, sure I can. Like, anyway, so I
Get
did
back
it.
to you in
Yeah. In like,
3 to 6 months.
I was thinking more like when I was ready to retire. They're like, hey, we've reviewed
Oh,
your
yeah.
case and it's still disabled. So it was like, oh, thanks. But anyways, so I sent them an email. I had screenshots of the error message. I got screenshots of like the amount. I think I shared this with you too, right? Like the amount of wall time versus actual agent
Yeah.
time. Like it was 70 plus hours of wall time, basically me sitting in the terminal doing nothing versus
Yep.
about an hour and change of agent time. It came back to life today.
You know what must have happened is you must have been caught in the ban wave that they did for OpenClaw or something, and then they retroactively went and unbanned you.
Yeah.
As far this week. That's
Maybe
got to be
like,
what happened.
yeah, like I don't know. It was doing I was actually impressed. I don't know is the right word. The amount of web searches this thing was doing. Like
Yeah.
I'm watching the terminal and I guess Claude's the same, but like it was just like, I'm going to search for this. I'm going to search for this. I'm going to search. And it's just, and it keeps, it'd be like, oh, I finished that search. I'm going to search for a variation of that. And I'm like, holy
Yeah.
crap, this
No,
thing's
it's
doing a shit ton of web searches, right?
yes. Concerning on the one hand, but also extremely useful.
Yeah.
Like I've been using it to do research on various topics, right?
Yeah.
Like pull up Google Scholar and go through papers and summarize them for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, you can get like a huge meta sweep of like 40 articles in a pass, right? Like it's very useful for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just be careful. You don't want to get banned or
You don't get banned.
don't get banned. Yeah.
I haven't been banned yet.
Yeah. It's back to life. I didn't try it today because I was like, I better not do that again. But even though I have no clue what I did. But anyways, it's back to life. I'll fire it up tomorrow. Actually, no, I won't tomorrow. Probably on Friday. I'll get back to the market research and I'll kind of go like this with Gemini and just enter and hope it. I hope I don't get another bad notice on Monday morning. Maybe this time I will close my terminal just in case. I have no idea.
Yeah, just
Perfect.
don't touch it, I guess.
Just avoid eye contact. Okay, what else is next? Speaking of new, we've got Sonnet 4.6. Yeah, which also came out last week, right?
New model from Anthropic. So this is the next iteration of Sonnet, which is their kind of smaller version of the model. Opus is trying to their like top of the line in terms of performance, but also in terms of cost. And then Sonnet is their next tier down. And then Haiku is their quick task model. So what is there to say about it? It's people tend to like it 70% of the time compared to compared to other options, I guess compared to previous Sonnet. And they preferred it over Opus 4.5, 59% of the time, which is interesting. So yeah, it seems like it outperforms Sonnet 4.5 by about 15%. So if you're interested in like a marginal, well, not marginal, but like real gain in performance, you can switch up to the next level.
Yeah. I made a couple of notes, more benchmark notes for you. So I was looking through the benchmarks and I noticed something called open world, which I'd never heard of before. So I Googled it. I'm like, what the hell is this open world benchmark? Here's what I wrote down. It's a way to measure multimodal AI agents on real world computer tasks.
Okay. So this is like computer use.
Yeah, you got it. This is the thing that got me. Okay. When this benchmark first came out and they used it to measure, well, I'm going to call it agent effectiveness. All right. You could say 72% success rates for humans doing these real world computer tasks versus only 12% success rate for agents. Okay. So significant difference. What do you think Sonnet 4.6 is at on that benchmark? And again, you know what you said, like, I'm sure there's some gaming in this and everything on, how they, juice it up to make it work. But what do you think is published in the article? Where do you think they landed?
I'm going to guess like 50% after the cowork stuff. No?
72.5.
Okay.
That was perfect.
All right.
Yeah. So they're as good. What they're saying is they're as good as a human for performing real computer tasks, things that you and I would do on our computers all the time. just
For
as
the
good as
things
you
in
and
the
I.
benchmark, of
Yeah, for
course.
the
Yeah.
whatever they're measuring in the benchmark, of course. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing that caught me with that was it went from not this particular model, but just agents in general went from 12% success rate. And if you believe the benchmark now, they're on the same level as humans for doing whatever tasks they have in that benchmark.
And like, what's the time frame between those two, right?
Yeah, I don't know. This actually was just the summary. It was either Duck AI that gave that to me or Wikipedia, one or the other. I can't remember now when I jotted it down.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big
Wow.
jump.
Yeah, big jump. And the other thing that I noticed, I've been using Claude a lot lately,
hmm
CLI again, and I didn't realize I saw the notice that Sonnet 4.6 was out. I didn't realize it was now the default model, right? So if you make no changes, that's what you're going to use. And
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I've been working on a project and it has saved my butt on a couple times figuring out some configurations that this I'm using some stuff that I'm not overly familiar with. So
Mm.
I'm going between AWS documentation and Claude. And this thing, man, it's fast. The context window is very large.
Yeah.
And it's giving me like really, really uh, like good information. Like when it's like you should use this configuration and here's why. And I'm like, ugh, I don't think so.
Is that accurate?
Right. I'm
Yeah.
like, and then I'm like, go over and I Google it and I end up on the documentation page and there it is. And I'm like, oh, it was right. Okay, let's go do that. And it's done that. I've been working on this project for about, oh man, maybe the last week, and didn't realize I was using Sonnet 4.6. It's pretty amazing.
I'll be interested to see what the hallucination rates are for this model too.
Yeah.
Like, I know Haiku was like, the thing with Haiku was it was really good at telling you when it didn't know something was wrong.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're kind of baking that into their models as they go forward instead of
Yeah.
just having it spit out random garbage.
I did
So
I did check it a couple times. Like, when you just get that feeling, you're kind of like, that doesn't seem right. Like,
yeah,
and I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, oops, yeah, that's
yeah,
you caught me. Let me go double check some stuff. But overall, I've been really happy with it. It's and I'm using it. Normally, I would use Kiro for this kind of stuff, but I just wanted again kind of bake it off for my own use case and test and stuff. And yeah, it's really good. Now, I guess Kiro is probably running Sonnet as well because don't they use the Anthropic models by default anyways?
believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna fire up
yeah,
Kiro right
from there.
now and just see what the default model
Yeah.
is.
Okay. Yeah. 4.6 is like 62% on the non-hallucination rate. So
Yeah.
it's right under Haiku basically, which is at 74. And then GLM5 is just above Sonnet 4.6. So, which I know we talked about when G5 came out, but it's really good at
like
telling.
last week or the week before. So right now, Kiro defaults to Claude Sonnet 4.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, the model is. You know what? I'm going to change this because I wonder if I picked this at some point and it's been stuck there because they do have an auto
Could be.
mode that it'll choose the model based on what you're asking it for. I just switched it to auto, and I'm going to try a couple things next week because it's got Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.6, Opus 4.5. So obviously 4.6 and 4.5, 2.2 times the credits when you're using them versus something like Sonnet 4.6 and Sonnet 4 are the same. They're 1.3 the credits. Haiku's 0.4. So
Yeah,
makes
interesting
sense.
Anthropic quirk. They just charge by the class, not by the recency of the model. So.
Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty cool. And like I said, I've been using it in Claude for the last weekish days, I guess, and it's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Same here.
Yeah. Is that what you're using right now? Is that your primary model right now? Or are you switching between a lot of different things?
I'm switching between the Anthropic Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 4.6
Yeah.
and GPT Codex 5.3 I'm using a lot.
Mhm.
And I'll use Kimi K 2.5 and the Minimax 2.5 when I'm looking for like a cheap open model
Yeah.
that I can just give a quick task to.
Yep.
Trying to switch up. I was trying the Anthropic maximum sub last month,
Mhm.
and I got pretty good usage out of it, but I'm swapping to OpenAI this month to see and compare
Oh,
so
okay. So
far.
you had a
Yeah.
max sub last week or last month, and now you switched it up to
Yep.
ChatGPT, OpenAI this month.
Yep.
That's cool.
And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes, but I'm
Yeah.
plugging. The thing with Anthropic is they're being quite nasty about integrations with applications.
Mhm.
So if you want to have your own kind of agentic app or tool and have it use your subscription, they'll block you or prevent you from doing that, right? Like they don't make it easy to do that kind of integration, which is
Mhm.
their purview. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I got to switch to OpenAI now to try that out. So
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. All right. What's next on the list? Oh, this is a good one. I don't have the context. I don't remember the actual context of the article, but I've jotted some notes down. This one, the title was 93% of developers use AI, productivity stuck at 10%. Productivity increase stuck at 10%. This is one of those articles. There's lots of stats, right? Like developer
yeah.
surveys and lots of stats and stuff. So it's actually, well, I don't know. It feels like a pretty big study. 121,000 developers across 450 companies. And I didn't write this down, but I want to say it was like a 3 month duration, like where they were asking these questions, like sort of a certain time period. So I'll run down these stats that I wrote down, and we'll chat about them as we go. So here's the first one: 93% of developers in the survey use AI coding assistance at least once a month, and 75% of them use it weekly. Now, I didn't see in the article anybody about how often, like, what's the percentage daily. But I don't think there's anything surprising there.
No, and it's interesting, but like we're kind of in that little early adopter bubble, it feels like, because our usage sounds like it's in like the 0.01% range, right?
Yeah.
So this stuff is nowhere near adopted yet.
Yeah.
And people are still very much figuring out how the heck to use these tools, it seems like.
You know what I've noticed just recently? That you either use these tools all the time or you just don't use them at all. Like
Yeah.
that's just anecdotally what I've noticed as I'm talking to people. You know, somebody be like you, I'm using this model. This is what I use it for. Here's another model that I'm using for some other task. And the next person's like, no, I don't use that shit.
Yeah.
There
It's
doesn't
like,
seem
do
to
you
be any
have,
in between.
yeah, it's like, do you know what your use case is? Do you have a use case, or are you picking a model for that? Or are you maybe like, you tried it out in the browser, like the basic ChatGPT or whatever, right? And you're like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, never
And
touching
that
that
was it.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. And then the other one, the interesting stat was they're saying that developers are saving about 4 hours a week in time. But that's what's sort of stagnated. It's the same value that they got when they ran this back in the second quarter of 2025. So no real
Okay.
change there.
So some busy work tasks are getting picked up, it sounds like, which is kind of what we expected with these tools,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not super surprising.
Yeah.
I guess what's going to be interesting is it going to be worth, once the price matches the reality of the usage, right? Like if the plans aren't subsidized, is it going to be, how worth it is it going to be for a company to pay like X $1,000 a month for an engineer to use this, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's the question.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. This one got me. About 27% of all production code is now authored by AI.
That's a lot of code.
A lot of code. A lot of code.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be surprised by that number, but I was when I read it. I'm kind of like, wow, okay. I wouldn't have thought that number was that high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 20 that's interesting because it's like a 10% productivity gain, 27% of the code is authored. I guess it's like boilerplate stuff maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what the actual code is.
Yeah, yes, right. The other one this made me chuckle. Onboarding time of new developers has been cut in half because they can
That makes
get
a
up
lot
to
of
speed
sense.
faster with AI. I don't know how
Yeah.
what the quality of that onboarding process might be, but they're saying they're getting onboarded quicker. And then they did say there's a significant difference between companies who have like I'm going to use the phrase well-structured plan on how
Mm.
they want to implement AI solutions versus companies who don't. And they're saying that the companies who are approaching this in a well-structured way are seeing it act as term that we've used on this chat before, like a force multiplier, whereas other
Yep.
companies are not. It's just sort of ad hoc and everybody's off doing their own thing and they're not seeing the benefits of it as much as those other well-organized companies might be. So don't know
A lot of the
what to say
benefits
about
are
that.
it seems like a lot of the benefits are locked into like how are you using the tool. Like there's a lot of technique in terms of like how do you get the most out of this thing, which doesn't surprise me because of what we've been seeing in education. I don't know if you saw, I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the papers last year about how your brain is affected by using LLM tools for search, right?
Yeah.
But there's been a couple of interesting papers, and I should have thrown these in the chat, but it was like there's a benefit to when you structure the thing in like a Socratic educational method, like you apply guardrails to the chatbot so that such that it's not giving you the answer, but it's helping you work towards the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You see like this was a tutoring study, like 1,000 students, a 4% bump, and then amongst the worst cohort, like a 9% bump, like a worst tutor cohort. So execution matters a lot, it seems like.
Well, I know myself, like, and I've said this to you while we were chatting before, like, I went through a phase where I didn't investigate. It was just like, yeah, I just need to get this done. I let's just get it done, right, and move on to the next thing. And what I found was, sure, you're being more efficient in the sense that you're able to close your tickets, but are you learning anything, right? Like, you're probably
Right.
not because you're not reviewing it. You're not asking follow-up questions. You're not, saying, show me the reference for this and then going and reading it yourself to make sure it makes sense. So, yeah, I could see how making sure you're approaching it in a systematic way would be more valuable than just taking it for its word every single time. You're not really learning anything if you don't do your own investigation, right?
No, you'll get the productivity gains of the floor raise, right? Of like the base capability that you're
Yeah.
accessing, but you
Yeah.
won't retain, you'll be less likely to retain
Yeah.
what you're actually doing, right?
There were a couple others. There was a couple other studies that came out this week. I didn't put them in notes because I didn't have time to read them. Let me just pull them up quickly. We'll talk about them next week. But there's a state of agentic AI from Docker. Lots of pretty
Okay.
graphs and stuff. And then there's a state of code developer survey from, put this out, Sonar. I don't know who that is. These just came up in a feed of mine somewhere. But maybe we'll talk about those next week. I'll share them with you in Docker. Probably lots of graphs.
Awesome.
Percentages.
I love graphs.
Yeah, graph. And we learned a new graph type today. So there you go.
We did.
Yeah. So this next one I absolutely loved. And you got to think about all these high-powered companies and, high-powered CEOs. Where did they not get like media training or something? So Sam Altman, the article was like, Sam Altman would like to remind you that humans use a lot of energy too.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.
Like, yeah. Yeah, it was something
How
about
tone deaf can you be?
Yeah, right. Think of all the food that you have to feed a human for 20 years as it learns.
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh my, do you hear yourself? Like, even if you're right, like yeah, you're not doing yourself any favors.
It's not even,
Yeah.
it's not, yeah, no, it's just, you should be able to tell with like the public sentiment right now that that's not going to go over well. And it didn't. So
yeah, and it did. You want to know my very thorough review of this article? The comment that I wrote to myself was oof.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. I bet you
Kinda
he regrets that.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe, right? You gotta
maybe.
wonder.
Yeah, maybe not.
This, I'm sure these guys will say anything to get their stock price high enough so when they IPO, they'll get their millions and
Yeah,
billions of dollars,
they get
right?
their
But
350-foot yacht.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
with a gaming room in it, and
Yeah.
they play Battlefield.
Well, yeah, exactly.
All
The
right.
Gabe Newell special.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Who am I kidding? If I had a yacht, it'd have a gaming room in it. Come on.
It'd have a battlefield room. Yeah,
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Decked out and everything. Even though I suck, it'd still have it.
This is the Minecraft
The
chamber.
Minecraft chamber. There you go. Yeah. This we talked about this briefly as we started the conversation today. Cline was compromised for a very short period of time. NPM problems that would install OpenClaw without you knowing.
Awesome.
Yeah, they fixed it. I think within like 8 hours, it was found and fixed. But they were like, "Hey, if you installed NPM between this hour and that hour, you probably want to go and upgrade first off, get the new version, and also just check if maybe you have OpenClaw running now."
Because you might be an early adopter.
Yeah, yeah. You're part of the Church of Claw or whatever that existed, right? Or does exist.
You've got a
So
notebook account. Yeah.
yeah, good stuff. I just think I wrote here, like, we've talked about this a bunch of times, right? There were a bunch of times already. There was that VS Code extension issue we talked about where, hundreds of thousands of people installed it. This is just another example of an attack vector that you're just going to have to be aware of.
It's a really hard problem to solve too. And it's like endemic in every package manager. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it, really. Like, you're going to have individual contributors, right, who are creating useful repos at some point.
Yep.
And if they get compromised, or if like one of your main contributors gets compromised, or maintainers, then yeah, their keys can be used for evil, right? Like,
Yep. Crazy.
It's a really tough problem.
Yeah. So this actually affected. I was talking about the Docker MCP gateway, right? And I wanted to install a couple MCPs. I wanted to use Playwright and I wanted to use Fireclaw because I've been reading about them and I'm like, I want to test these out and see how they work, right? And inside the Docker MCP gateway, there's a repository or like a library, whatever you want to call it. You just search for what you want. And you can literally just go click, and now that MCP is available. And in my case, Kiro, Gemini, Claude, they will all use those tools. They'll see them the next time I refresh them. And it actually, because of the things we've been talking about, and because of this article, I hesitated. I was like, do I actually want to, like, not saying there was anything wrong with those packages, right? Like, not, but just it made me pause for a second. So instead, I went and I looked at the documentation for Playwright, and I looked at the documentation for Fireclaw, and I configured those MCPs manually without just clicking on the button. I put them in, I think in Docker, it's called a custom catalog, right? So I'm still trusting the documentation. It's on GitHub, and I guess in theory that could also be mucked with, but it just, we keep seeing these articles every week. We talk about them, and it gave me pause, man. I was like, maybe I shouldn't just click install. Maybe I should go read about this stuff and just write it myself, because it's just text, right? Like, it's just, I can just add it to my custom catalog. It took me 15 minutes to do. And at least that way I'm relatively comfortable with where the hell it came from.
Yeah, I think it's a good instinct to have now, is to go and like pin your versions at known good, and don't necessarily update every time there's a fresh thing, right? I mean, it's hard with NPM because there's packages that depend on packages ad infinitum, right? Like, the chain is quite long.
Yeah.
I'd be much, so at this point, I'm happier using something like Go for this kind of, for dev work, because it, it's a one trusted source managing the repo, like it's Google's repo.
Yeah.
But like, you can't get away from that, obviously, in those environments. So yeah, it's tough. You got to read and make sure, and you don't necessarily want to be the first person to download everything.
No, yeah. Let somebody else do it first, right? Yeah. What else is next? Oh, this is another great one. Kiro reportedly brought down Cost Explorer. back in 2025. Amazon denies that Kiro did this, but in the article, multiple sources allege that Kiro was given permissions to the service, and instead of fixing something, it deleted it and recreated it, and it brought Cost Explorer down for like, I don't know, 10 to 15 hours or something like that. But Amazon's saying, no, it was developer error. So,
well, yes, but
yeah, it was
like the
developer
error was
error,
giving
but
Kiro access.
yeah, they gave it too much access. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say about this. I think it's just caution. Caution is always good.
Caution is warranted. This is very funny in context, but did you see that Kiro is now in AWS GovCloud? Like, this was a news item.
Yeah, I did see that news item.
So I think we're going to get some kind of government leak this year. I feel it.
Yeah. Wasn't there something else with Anthropic and the Department of War or Department of Defense, whatever it's called? Aren't they arguing about something too, getting access to something, or
there's a beef with the DoD. Yeah, they're trying to Anthropic saying they don't want to be used for target selection, that kind of thing. But
is that what it was?
I feel like you should have. That's one of those things. I mean, good for them for saying that, but you had to know that's what you were getting into at that point, right? But
yeah. Isn't that the way pretty much every invention ever goes? The inventor doesn't realize what it will actually be used for because they didn't have that in their head as they were inventing something.
That's true.
Yeah, and then it gets used in a way that you didn't intend. Yeah. So yeah, be careful with Kiro just vibe coding. And the irony is, isn't Kiro supposed to be spec driven? So shouldn't you have been giving it a very specific instructions? Although it does have the vibe coding option, but
you can vibe code.
Yeah. And then finally, the article that you shared, I referenced at the very beginning, 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis. Walk us through this. Yeah, walk us through those.
So this is by a research firm. This is essentially a think piece about the future in a world where everything that can possibly go wrong in the AI space goes wrong for society, right? Like models take over, they're used for every kind of marketable task. They're used for, like, white collar jobs are eradicated. There's a blurb about the white collar job population moving into the service industry, like DoorDash, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then the hourly wage is going down because of the oversupply of labor, that kind of thing. So really, essentially, the piece takes a look at 2028 and tries to see, here's what the labor shock could be if things pan out in exactly this way, right? Now, if you take a look at this piece, and it's really interesting that the reaction that's been had to it, it reads as it was written by someone who's never worked in like a large organization before, is what I've noticed. Like, there's a lot of kind of unrealistic assumptions about labor and what goes into making a company work. But the reaction to it has been like a huge sell-off in the software stocks in US markets, which is crazy. It was like a $200 billion sell-off because of this post. So I don't know what you think about that, but that's essentially what the situation is with this. And it was by a what was the lab? Citri?
Yeah, Citri
was the lab, I believe. Yeah.
So two things. Maybe more than two things. First off, it's very dystopian.
It's like, very doom and gloom outlook.
Yeah. Like, okay, so there's this movie.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie. It's where I should totally remember it. The older I'm going to tell you a scene in the movie. You're going to remember the title of it. The older brother is going to a party. His mom says, you got to take your little your little sister. She sticks her head out the window on the way home and it whacks into a telephone pole. And he doesn't realize it until he gets home, and he walks in the house and he goes to bed and they find her in the morning. What the hell is that movie?
I think I've seen it.
No, you've seen it.
Oh, This is hereditary. This is hereditary. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
I'm getting to a point. When I first watched Hereditary, I didn't finish that movie. I found that movie very disturbing. And, you know, I told my sister, and she's like, "You're an idiot. It wasn't even that scary." But there was just something about that movie that both my wife and I were just like, well, let's take a break. Let's go do something
It's a
else.
horror masterpiece.
Yeah, and we can finish it later. The best part was I had to travel for work like immediately after, and I think my wife she didn't sleep. Like she stayed up overnight and slept through the day, kind of thing. Like it really, really freaked her out. And this article, like I had to stop reading it. I was like, I'm just going to take a bit of a break, and I'm going to go do something else, and then I can come back and read the rest of this article. Like it's disturbing. Like
It's incredibly well written, and he tells a really good narrative of what could happen.
Yeah.
But you have to make a lot of jumps. Like you have to make so many jumps about how labor markets work to get there, right?
Yeah.
So given the hypothetical case where all white collar work gets outsourced to these companies, never mind the fact that they don't have the compute to do that yet. Never mind the fact that the price is too high. Never mind the fact that the quality is not there, right?
Yeah.
To just do it straight up. Then you're going to end up in a situation where you have huge macro shock, and it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah. So a couple other reactions I had, I was like, and I'm mostly joking here, but I was like, I guess I'd better go learn a trade. Do I want to be a carpenter or a plumber? Like, or an electrician? You're still going to have to like cut boards or, well, maybe not. You could 3D print a house, but you're still going to have somebody wire it and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe I should go learn a trade. Well, 98% joking, but it did pop into my head because the type of work we do, if you believe what's in the article, could in very short order be quickly replaced in a very cheap fashion.
You have to believe, for this to be the case, you have to believe that these companies provide zero value essentially besides their code, right? Or their tasks that they're doing, which is like, or that they can all get automated out of existence by these models, right?
Yeah.
But they're not accounting for like network effects, like stickiness of the products, that kind of thing, right? Like, are you going to get a whole sales team to use Salesforce or change off of Salesforce rather into something else? Like, that's not a trivial thing. That's a huge lift for a company, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but the Salesforce example is good. I agree with you. Like, it's kind of obviously not in the same scale, but what we've kind of talked about over the last couple of weeks is once you get that IDE just the right way, right? It's a Goldilocks IDE. It's just perfect. The likelihood of you changing off of that is quite low. Same thing for these large enterprise pieces of software. But in the article, like he says, is like, the salesperson goes in every year and it's just like, hey, it's a 5% uplift. And the company is like, well, hang on a second. Like, we've been kind of mucking around a little bit and we have something that we think could do what we need it to do. And then before you know it, there's a 30% discount on hitting you because you don't want to lose those, right? And then I thought the other interesting part was, okay, maybe you don't need 100 people anymore. You only need 50 people. You still need people, but you don't need the volume. Therefore, you don't need as many Salesforce licenses anymore either. So how it could cascade across, honestly, if I was a SaaS company, I would be concerned, right? I would be concerned. I've seen lots of examples, and I know, again, big companies versus small companies or solopreneurs, two different sides of a coin. But one of the comments in that article, and again, in the storytelling of the article is somebody says to somebody else, well, why don't we just try to build this ourselves? That shit's happening right now, right? For over-engineered products, like, why am I paying all this money for essentially a Kanban board, which I bet you any money if I sat on a weekend, it wouldn't be perfect, but I could have a Kanban board that would do 80% of what I needed to do. And it's not costing me any money anymore. Newsletter software, stuff like that. Like, I think we talked about this. I think this idea of like personal software, custom software, maybe not in the enterprise right away, but in smaller organizations, those folks are going to try to pull stuff together because for them, it's hard to articulate the cost of the tools, right, to build this. It's kind
Right.
of like if somebody comes to you and says, calculate the cost of running something on-prem versus AWS. Okay, I can look at the specs of the machine, and that's a straight calculation over here because I can find that machine, it's 10 cents an hour, right? But you're not taking into account the hydro, the cooling, all of that. That's much harder to actually figure out. I know you get a hydro bill and all that, and in theory, you could just divide it, but it's more nuanced than that. So I think what my take is, what people will forget about those costs because they're harder to articulate, and they'll just look at the licensing costs of these and go, I could probably do that and get 80% of the functionality. Screw it. I'm not paying these licenses anymore. Let's just go use these tools and code it out and see what we get. Right.
Right.
I think that kind of stuff could happen. Probably already is.
It probably is. It definitely will. And we're going to see that play out. But the interesting part is, like, there's kind of the gap there that you're not accounting for maintenance costs. Like, now you have this whole application you have to support that your organization runs on, right?
Yeah.
There's SLAs there. There's developer time that has to go into that. There's support time that has to go into that. Especially if you're a large organization, you have to support essentially, like, is that what you want to be spending your man hours doing or your agent hours doing?
I could see that.
Right?
Yeah, I could see that. I still think though, man, I still think if you're the CFO, you're looking at pure numbers. I have 1,000 licenses for this, and each of those licenses are $100 a year each, and it goes up every year. It, rightly or wrongly, it becomes a math problem, and they're just like,
true.
That's $1 million a year. We got to be able to do something cheaper than $1 million a year for all these SaaS licenses. People will just do the simple math like that.
They will. It's so funny that this is how the cloud ecosystem has basically come about, right?
Yeah.
You'll have promises to startups to get credits to get on the platform, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's just costs here that people aren't thinking about, I think.
Yeah.
That are not being accounted for at all in this article.
Yeah. It's a great article. You should read it if you haven't read it, right? Because it'll make you think about some stuff. And if you're like me, I took a pause. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to read this, right? Because I kind of think about how it'll affect my livelihood. And I think you and I have talked about this before, right? With these tools, you've got to figure out what your value prop is, because it's not writing code anymore. Those days are already gone.
I think it's going to be curation, and it's going to be in cutting down the slop.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good article to end it on. Why don't we wrap up with our regular movie segment? And I will start. We watched Begonia.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic
what did you
movie.
think?
I love that
excellent.
movie. Like, I gave it 4 or 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. Like, now I figured it out immediately. Yeah. Like, I joke with Karen, I'm like, I could write this shit. Like, I just know. And so no spoilers, but I knew immediately what it was.
Yeah, it's like, if that's not the thing, the movie doesn't make much sense, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? But like, I just thought it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. I very much enjoyed Begonia.
Yeah. I would, you know how I rate movies? I should have probably given this a 5, because my 5 is like the best movie I've ever watched. I probably wouldn't say it's that, but 4 is like, I could watch this movie again multiple times and not be like, oh, I've seen this already. Like, such a good movie. And then the other movie that I watched it's an older one. I'm going to pull it up here. It's from 2008. It has Sam Rockwell in it, and he's a con man, and it's called Choke. And
that sounds familiar.
It's you might want to be careful the audience you watch it with. It's probably not one you want to sit with your mom and dad and watch. It's got some moments where you're, oof, that's maybe a little inappropriate, but Sam Rockwell's a great actor. And this, I think, if I read about this after the fact, I think it's a really well-known novel that they turned into a movie. And a lot of the people, when I was reading the reviews, were like, oh, it sucks compared to the book, which is pretty normal. But people are like, it sucks compared to the book, but Sam Rockwell is fantastic. So if you like him, it's worth a watch.
He's in something that came out really recently that I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, it's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And I've been meaning to see that. It's been on my list. 2025 action movie. Yeah. So I'll probably check that out this weekend.
You know, one of the things that I love about Letterbox is if you click on Sam Rockwell as an example, it tells you
Yeah.
how many movies they've been in and the percentage of those movies that you've watched. So
That
like
is
I've
nice.
watched one. Now I've watched more than this because, you know, I haven't been doing Letterbox for very long, but it's pretty cool in the sense that if you find that actor or actress that you like, you can click there and be like, or a director even, stuff like that. And then you can just kind of drill down and find other things that that person has been in. Like Sam Rockwell was in a movie called Mr. Right. That's
Okay.
from 2015, and he's in it with Anna Kendrick. It's a
Oh yeah.
fantastic little comedy movie, light watch. It's fun. He's made some great movies.
There's another really good sci-fi movie he's done. I think it's called Moon.
Moon.
I don't want to. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you haven't seen Moon, it's really good sci-fi.
I want to say that I've seen that.
It's like he's
No.
working on the. He's like alone in a research station or mining station rather on the moon, and he has to
Yeah.
manage these harvesters. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of a, a series of books I'm reading. I might have said to you before, We Are Legion, We Are Bob.
Oh yeah, it's
You
been on
heard
my
about
list to
this?
check out just
I'm
from you.
Yeah, I'm about 3/4 of the way through the second book. Like I stayed up way too late last night because I couldn't put it down. I was like, "Oh, this is great. It's just great." It's not like heavy sci-fi by any means. Like it's just an easy, light read. Really cool concept. Definitely worth
Mm,
the read. Yeah. You got any
awesome.
recommendations for the week?
Definitely that one movie. Good luck, have fun,
Yeah.
and then Alien Romulus. We're probably gonna watch. But I've seen it before, but it's
Oh, have
quite
you?
good. Yeah,
It's good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really good. It's those are my wife's favorite movies, the Aliens
mm,
movies, and
yeah. They're top
just
of my list too.
disappointment after disappointment after disappointment after the originals, right? Like,
Yeah,
and this one, we both walked away and was like, okay, that that was a good
that's a good.
Aliens movie, right?
Finally, a good entry in the series. Yeah,
Finally, a good one, right? After like the what were they, the hybrid
Prometheus
human
stuff.
version ones and the Prometheus ones, like, okay, dude, like you're getting sucked through a hole in the ship. Oh, I get it. We don't need to see it for 15 minutes. Like, end this movie now before I chuck myself out the window. Brutal. Yeah, come on, Sigourney. It's bad, right? It's just, oh, come on. But anyway, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the show. We talked a little video
There you go. A
games, talked a little movies, and then jammed in some Gen AI there in the middle.
little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah. What more can you want?
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll call it here. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday. Yeah.
Bye.